After 15 months of war, Israel claims to have killed around 10,000 Hamas militants and much of the group's leadership. But that isn't the image Hamas has been trying to portray.
There's a lot of psychological warfare going on between the two sides.
With the first stage of the Gaza ceasefire coming to an end, the Wall Street Journal examined videos of Hamas's hostage releases to find out how the group used them to try and show it is still in control of Gaza. Under the terms of the ceasefire agreement, Hamas has released small groups of hostages over a 6-week period, in what Israel described as ceremonies designed to humiliate.
They're brought on stage and made to smile, sometimes to speak and give speeches which are staged.
Hamas has been trying to maximize the influence that it can draw upon and spread through symbolic messaging.
This messaging even came down to some of the locations Hamas has staged its handovers at across the Gaza Strip.
Hamas is trying to demonstrate that it continues to exert influence and a physical capability across different parts of the Gaza Strip.
As the weeks passed, the ceremonies became more and more choreographed. Take the hostage release on January 25th. The 4 women freed were escorted onto a stage, decked out with a background bearing the seal of Hamas's armed wing. Just 3 weeks later, on February 15th, the setup was even more curated. This time it took place in Han Yunis, in front of the destroyed home of Yahya Sinwar, the militant group's late leader who orchestrated the October 7, 2023 attack, was killed by Israel last fall. A giant poster to the left of the stage seemingly depicted Sinwar looking out through the shattered wall of the room where he was killed.
It's a nod to Sinwar and his role in Gaza. In exchange for the release of the Israeli hostages, there have been hundreds of Palestinian detainees and prisoners that have been released from the Israeli side. And this was part of Sinwar's original plan.
The handover of 4 dead hostages, including an Israeli mother and her 2 young children, saw coffins displayed on stage. A banner depicted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as a vampire, apparently blaming him for the hostages' deaths.
I think these ceremonies have been quite shocking to the Israeli public. It was very humiliating. There were anti-Israeli chants with these coffins, and they really were upset about that.
In earlier handovers, Hamas used crowds of people and close-up camera angles to try and appear to look numerically strong. However, other images of the same event, shot on a wider lens, show how condensed the crowd was.
Hamas has used these ceremonies of freeing the hostages to basically make a show of force, to show that it is still in command, it's in control, and it has military force. It's also used it as a chance to humiliate Israel and show that Israel has failed in its war goal to destroy Hamas.
The militant group has also used props, symbols, and even goodie bags for the hostages throughout the handovers.
Hamas has tried to make the ceremony look official, with the certificates, with the signing of the release papers, and the stamp. So when you think about the ultimate objective of Hamas, which is the creation of a Palestinian state, it seeks to act and be like a state.
But analysts say on the global stage, this may have had a different effect.
They've created a spectacle out of their release, and this is a violation of human dignity, which is enshrined as a principle in international humanitarian law.
All the ceremonies are just seen as super distasteful. The goodie bags were seen as pretty horrible.
Israel has also added some of its own symbolism by issuing Palestinian prisoners being exchanged for hostages with t-shirts bearing slogans like, "We neither forget nor forgive."
It's gotten out some criticism in Israel. Some people see it as, sinking down to Hamas's level, but I think both sides want to show the other one that they're stronger and they're in control.
Security experts believe while Hamas's propaganda displays are mainly aimed at Palestinians, they also hope to target the international community, potentially as a tool to recruit new members or sympathizers abroad.
What these types of symbolic public displays, as well as visual propaganda tools, offer is asymmetric leverage. And Hamas is very keen to be able to exploit this, because as they release Israeli civilian hostages, they are losing that leverage. That is withering away. And this is not lost upon the organization or its external supporters.
With negotiations yet to begin for the second phase of the ceasefire, families of the hostages who still remain in Gaza are also watching.
Some messages are aimed specifically in Israel, and we know that because some of the signs they print are in Hebrew specifically, and are taunting army units or Netanyahu. So a lot of it, I think, is for the Israeli public to make them feel like they need to pressure more to get these hostages free, but it's also a show of force for everyone. It's kind of this orchestrated moment that's televised all over the world, and it's a chance to show their force.